right, if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and let Coach get started.
Well, I got nothing. You guys saw what I saw this weekend and watched some good football. That's all I got.
You're not going to kick it to number 9 this weekend, are you?
Well, we didn't want to kick it to number 7 the weekend before, and that kind of seemed to happen. So, I think everybody's got a good kick returner. That's the one thing that I think kind of jumps out to me. And you're going to have good kick coverage. You're not going to always not be able to kick it to them. I don't think it's going to be possible. You got to be smart in your strategy, but you're going to have to cover kicks.
What did you just from that Cal Wazoo game? I mean, just watching Halliday do that and watching that Cal defense struggle like that.
Well, I know Cal had a couple injuries in their secondary, and I think you have a really good elite thrower that's been in that system 5 years now that can throw with the best of them and knows that system inside and out. And he's just reacting. He's not thinking. He's just playing, and he's playing at a high level. I mean, he threw a couple balls in there that you're like, oh, those are impressive. And when you're going to throw it that many times with that many good receivers, you're going to do some things.
As a former quarterback, how do you react to seeing 734 yards?
Yeah, that's not the same game I played. That's about what I say. These stats are amazing. Like I said, I said this a few weeks ago. The game's really changed. It just really has in so many ways with the awkward formations that we can get into. It's much different than the pro game. And I think you're seeing a lot of the ramifications of what's going on these days. I want to go back. I said this when I first came here. I've never seen a conference so balanced and so even. And, that's what's showing. All these games are coming down to the last plays. And I think it shows the parity. I think it shows, the money in college football has just evened everything out. Everybody's got good coaches. Everybody recruits good. You stay healthy, you develop some guys, and everybody has a chance.
When you see their result at Arizona and then you see their Colorado game, obviously the Washington State game, is it fair to now say that there's a pattern in how their games are going to go?
Who's theirs?
California.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about the pattern. I just know that they can score points and move the ball with the best of them. They got a good system. Really good quarterback, really good receivers, really good running back. Their O-line's big. They Mauler-type guys that keep guys covered up. They're hard to get off blocks. So they got a really good thing going. You watch that, and you see it game after game. All of a sudden, you're saying, okay, this is pretty good. And that's what I see out of those guys.
I know obviously the goal is to outscore your opponent, but it seems like their goal is to maybe outscore the opponent even if it's in the 50s, 60s, because it seems like it's gone that way.
Well, I think, when you're on offense, the goal is to score as many points as you can. And, obviously, I don't, I think everybody thinks like that. It's like it doesn't matter if you have a huddle-up, non-tempo offense. Every time you have the ball, you're really trying to score points. I think sometimes you think that these spread hurry-up, they're trying to score more points than maybe someone like Stanford. That's not true. They're trying. We're all trying to score points in our own way, and that's the goal, is to be efficient as you can.
Chris, do you feel like Seiler has maybe matured the last week or so since the Stanford game? What have you seen from him in the week of practice?
Nothing's gonna, nothing dramatically changes in 1 week. We're not going to become a dramatically better team or a dramatically worse team in 1 week. This is a process. That's the main point we try to get to our guys. Your role's not going to change dramatically in 1 week as a snap. You got to you got to have that grit, which is, passion and perseverance mixed together. And and that's what it is. You got to have that grit to be able to work over time, and then things will start to change. And you learn little lessons along the way, and hopefully are better for them. And so, I think there's some of that, but is it going to – Stanford's a good defense. That keeps proving out week in and week out. And so that was some tough sledding, and there's some things that we could do different as coaches, like we said, and he can do some things different. Yep. So hopefully we're all learning and getting a little bit better each week, and after some more time, it looks, a lot different.
Chris, Cal scored on 7 consecutive possessions. It's almost unbelievable. What specifically are they doing? Is the hurry up, no huddle, spread offense? What particularly is such a difference maker for a team like that?
I would say yes to all your questions. I think yes to all that, but what they do is execute. I mean, that's what this all comes down to. It all comes down to taking care of the details. And that's what you see. I mean, they have a nice job, they have a nice run game. I mean, they have a good running back and a good run game, even though they want to throw it, and they got these really good receivers, and Goff is, matured as well as anybody that I've seen around here. He hangs in the pocket. He's very good in the pocket. But they execute is what they do. They make tough catches. He makes tough throws. And they just keep coming at you. But, then they go fast. And then they kind of keep you on your heels, not getting lined up correctly or fast enough. And they execute better than, the other side.
Coach, can you talk about the bye week, what you were able to accomplish? Were you able to just go identify some things on the offensive defense? Were you able to install new things, get healthy? Can you talk a little bit about
Hopefully a little bit of all those things. That's usually the plan, to get a few new things in, to clean up some things, to get a little healthy, to get better. That is the plan. And, we've got a long season here in front of us still to make sure that we're rested up and ready for this grind that's going to take place, because nobody else in the conference has one bye. We're the only team that does, and now we got straight games all the way through. And so this is going to be hard, and we have to pay close attention to, what you guys are talking about. There's a lot of reps coming our way from practice to games. So I see all these no-huddle teams. The defense takes a lot of reps depending on how the game goes. And so, we got to get our mind right, and it always starts in practice, and, be able to get a little bit better each week.
Given how many reps the defense may have, does this put a lot of pressure on your offense to keep the defense rested?
Can you say the first part again?
Yeah, given how many reps Cal has on offense, does it put more pressure on your offense to keep the game, maybe a little bit more balanced in terms of time?
Well, I think we're all in this together, and I think it's, on our offense to score some points, and I think it's on our defense to get some stops. I mean, you got to stop them, and it's got to be part of it. And you don't want your offense going 3 and out and 3 and out and 5 and out and those type of things. I mean, they got to do some things themselves as well. So we're kind of all in this together. But at the end of the day, the defense got to get some stops, and Cal's been very good of, keeping that defense on the field.
Do you do anything different in your secondary? Obviously, we've talked a lot about the young guys back there, but
Well,
I guess we're anticipating kind of Goff in this offense this week.
No, I mean, we got to do what we do. I mean, that's what Cal does. They do what they do, and they do it really well. And so we're not going to come up and design new schemes to say, okay, that we know won't work. What we need to do is get better at what we're doing, and I think we're making some progress there. Remember, we got young guys back there who are getting mature, and they are doing a good job. And but there's no question we'll be tested, like we haven't been tested back there this season.
We talked about last week, but is there a chance we can see Shaq more at strong safety again?
Yeah, we're going to, like we said, Shaq's a football player, and so we're going to move him around to get our best combination on there. Could be down and distance, could be team-oriented, could be all those things.
The weekend that was in the Pac-12, you talked about that going back to Thursday, the Oregon game where the player got the penalty for the bow. Do you talk to your kids about things like that? Do you use that as kind of a lesson, and were you surprised at that?
Yes to all those things, yeah. Now, I will say this. I mean, there's certain emphases that keep coming out that the league and not only our league, but like in college football, that they're really trying to emphasize. And so that starts at the start of the season, and then each week they'll send out a memo going, hey, now, pass interference is a big emphasis this year, and we're seeing a lot of it, and it's not going to go away. And so one of the things they've been talking about too is these unsportsmanlike penalties. So they're going to be sensitive. And so we certainly do talk to our guys. And in fact, we talked to them last week, and we talked to them again this morning just about that. And it's painful, you know. I mean, the rules are the rules. And I don't know who makes them. We don't. But they don't want the kids doing that. And so then our job is to just know the rules, understand them, and play by them.
When you first saw that, did you say, how can that be a penalty? Or
I didn't totally have that I just like, oh my gosh, you know. I'm sure like everybody did. You know, that's really unfortunate. And that's what they're going to call. And so, I mean, our deal is we got to learn from it and not let that happen to us.
Chris, the first few weeks you had Danny Shelton kind of at tackle, and then he moved to end on occasions. How much of that was just trying to figure out all that he could do on the defensive line and bring to the pass rush?
Well, I think we know what Danny can do, but I think it's about moving combinations around and still getting him to do what he does well. But, you know, lining him up different ways so not everybody sees. They've been going against that guy for 40 plays in a row, and now he comes in a different direction. And, you know, just some little wrinkles to not mess us up and keep certain people off balance.
Same with Holy.
Yeah, so we like, you know, again, just to move them around just a little bit and get matchups and create different looks.
Looking at Cal's offense, what do you appreciate about it the most?
I think I appreciate the most about Cal's offense is I think it's a really good system. I mean, you can see they do what they do, and they just keep doing it over and over. They have a couple wrinkles each game, you know, little game plan stuff that they bring to the table. But they just run the core pass game, their core run game, and they do it really well. I mean, they're good at what they do. It's not something exotic and new each week. It's the same stuff, and they just execute.
Most teams, you want to try to take something away first.
I think it's always, you know, this is a pass-first team, but I think we got to be able to stop the run. When any team can get you on both sides of that equation, you're going to be in trouble. Does that mean that we load the box? Does that mean that we blitz it a certain way? Not necessarily, but we got to always make sure that the run game's in check, even though we know they're going to throw it. I mean, so coverage has got to be tied in there. And, I mean, we know what they do and what they do best, but they also run the ball really effective and efficiently. I think both those backs, you know, one's over, 6 yards a carry or high fives, and the other's right there as well. So, I mean, they're doing some really good stuff on the ground as well. They're just putting up such big numbers, scoring points and throwing the ball that nobody's really paying attention to that.
Scott, remind you of anybody you've seen so far this year?
He reminds me a little bit, and I don't know how accurate this is, but he reminds me of Derek Carr that we played against at Fresno for a long time. Really smooth throwing mechanics. The ball jumps out of his hand. He's got a really strong arm. He's smooth in the pocket. Just that style reminds me of him. That's the guy that I kind of thought in my mind.
Coach, during bye week, it's usually a chance to get a look at some younger players and give them some more reps. Any of those young guys step up, bring more playing time?
You talk about the kids that are like eligible, like we're playing right now. Yeah, I think we're making some strides at the wide receiver position. I think all those guys are making strides. So one thing we did is we spent a little more time even with the kids that are redshirting, getting those guys, not some scout team stuff, but letting them play our systems and getting a chance to coach that up. So that was good. And even some guys that are playing with us that maybe aren't true freshmen or redshirt freshmen and some sophomores that are 2s and 3s, got those guys a little bit more work as well. I think everybody got some good work. Wish we could have a bye every other week. I'd like this job a lot.
Chris, I'm curious with the Hail Mary success we've seen recently, how much time do you guys spend in practice working on defending that play?
So we probably need to spend more because you're seeing it like every game come up. We worked on it a couple times in fall camp, and we work on it usually once a week. But we probably need to just pay a little bit closer attention to it, and we will. Because if there's the parity that we're talking about and these games all come down to the wire, there's probably a chance that you're going to see that one play at least once a game.
Should it be that hard to defend from your perspective?
It's just hard when there's a lot of chaos going on. That ball's up and it's getting tipped, and you got to have some luck. There's no question, but I think you got to at least coach that phase of the game as well, offensively and defensively. And I know our coaches do, but we probably just need to get, everybody's maybe a rep or two more each week.
What kind of approach did you take with Siler this week? Did you try to pump him up, or are you trying to learn what you want to see from him?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're always trying to be positive with our guys, but we can't give somebody like confidence or false confidence. I think when Siler puts that game on, there was a lot of plays that he did pretty well that might not have looked good from the stands, throwing the ball away. Might even been taking a sack. The next option's turning it over, and he didn't do that. And so I think we look at that and say, this is all good. And then we look at this and go, you see how close you are on these other things? The ball just needs to come out earlier. The ball just needs to go this direction. The ball just needs to be thrown a little bit more accurate. And, I just think the motivation thing is so overrated sometimes. A halftime speech or a pregame. I mean, I think we're into educating these guys and showing them this is where we are and this is how close we are and this is where we need to go. And so that's how we kind of I think that motivates guys rather than, man, I love you and you're great and, people like you and you're smart enough and you're good enough and, all that stuff. I mean, we gotta just show them, and then they'll get it, and then they'll improve, and then it's okay, I see what you're saying. And so that just takes some time.
You watch SNL a lot growing up?
Obviously, too much.
Did you, after you watched the tape of the Stanford game, did you contemplate at all opening up the competition at quarterback, or was it Siler's job?
It's open. It is open. Now, those other guys might not get as many reps, but until we see some growth out of those guys going, that's going to be better than the guy that we have. We're not changing it. And so that's what they got to understand. Now, the hard thing is hey, I'm 2, I'm number 3, whatever. I only get this many reps. Well, you got to operate efficiently at those reps. And when you do, then you give us something to say, yeah, you probably do need a chance.
You mentioned, I think, before the Hawaii game that you thought Jeff was taking care of the ball better than Troy. Is that still Troy's deal, or does he?
I think there's still a little bit of that. I think Troy's making some progress. I think Troy can spin it pretty good. But the one thing that Siler hasn't done, and I don't know why I'm even saying this, but he hasn't thrown it, the other guys. Now, part of that is he's taken off, scrambling a little early, like him to hang in there. It's a fine line with all the stuff, but he's been pretty good with the ball, and that's really, really important to us.
Does that Hawaii experience give you some things to kind of a foundation for your first road trip in the Pac-12?
I mean, it is seems like that was forever since we've taken that trip, and so we've been kind of getting back to some things and talking about traveling, and even in practice it's been a little bit different in terms of some noise things and some lack of noise things, some lack of music, and us bringing our own energy. And so we've already been addressing it, but it's very nice to be able to play in your own stadium every week, and it's much, much different. And so, it's a mental game, and so we're trying to get them right mentally before we leave.
When's the last time you coached at Memorial?
I never have. No. Oh, yeah, I have. It's been a long time. Yeah, I don't even know. I've been there a couple times with Oregon.
Coach, you said that, with that quarterback competition, the other quarterbacks need to step up. Are they not stepping up? Are you not seeing improvement from them then?
I think we're seeing some improvement, some gradual improvement, but not where we are right now to say they're the guy.
I guess the main question is, you said that Jeff would be the next guy up, but not by much. So, the difference between Jeff and Troy obviously isn't really that much. Is the difference between, Jeff and Troy, and Siler, is that a dramatic difference, or how close is it?
I think between who and who?
Siler, the starter, and the backups.
Yeah. Siler's ahead. How much of it is, I don't know. And we just always tell the backups at all positions this: you're going to get your chance. You're going to get it. I can't tell you when. I don't really know that timetable. It's like all of us in our lives that we're all trying to chase these goals, and whether you want to be, the boss or you want to be whatever, you're going to get your chance. You better just make sure you're prepared. Now, you get a chance every day in practice, and if it's good enough there, you're going to get that chance sooner than later in the game. But if you keep working your tail off, you're going to get it. Whether we got a lead and it's time for you to get some reps, or we're not doing what we need to do, and I'm talking about at all positions, you're going to get your chance. So make sure you're ready. Most guys want to mope around and say they're not getting their chance, and those type. That's just human nature. I'm not saying our quarterbacks are doing that, but that's just how it is. You're working your tail off. Do you have that grit? You know that you're just passionate about this thing and it just won't go away. But you have that perseverance to work through it. Not 1 week, not 1 day, not 2 days. It might be a year. And those that are, will persevere are the guys that are going to surface around here. That I believe.
Did you have any takeaways from the Stanford Notre Dame game that were relevant to what you observed at Stanford?
I saw no plays of the Stanford game. I saw a highlight where the guy scrambled around and hit the touchdown, and that's really all I saw. So, yeah.
Not the best defense you'll see all year.
Probably not. I don't know. I mean, I think Stanford's really good. I don't know. That's kind of behind us now, and
I guess what I mean by that, there's like taking the donut off the bat type thing where you'll see, you won't see that type of D.
They were very good. And I think, like I said, I think if they stay healthy and keep improving, because, you're either improving or you're going backwards. As competitive as this thing is, there is no doubt. You're either going backwards or you're improving.
I think your tight ends as a position are on pace for about 20 catches on the year. Do you need to get more out of that through? I mean, is that necessary? Is it imperative to get more from them through the air?
I think it would help, if we could get something done there. I think, that guy sliding in zones and all those type of things can be quite a weapon, but I think we'd like to get those guys involved a little bit more.
Good. All right, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, guys.